Baylor Scheierman, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Enjoying my time back in Omaha from the Combine, so it's been going well.
Yeah, we're happy to catch you before you go off to the NBA draft. What's been the process for you right now and where you're at before that?
So obviously I was at the Combine last week, doing testing, interviews, all that good stuff, and now I'm back in Omaha for about a week before I start going off to different teams, doing individual workouts with them, and that's pretty much what my month looks like leading up to the draft. So.
You impressed a lot of people on day one. What was your mindset going into that day and just seeing all the attention you gathered?
I mean, I was just trying to bring a lot of energy and communicate and kind of not necessarily bring a focus to myself, but at the same time, those kind of events, you kind of have to stick out any way you can. And so I try to just be the loudest one in there, just bringing a lot of energy. And then, of course, playing-wise, I think, a lot of people that have watched me play at Creighton wasn't really surprised by anything that happened at the Combine. I kind of just went out there and played how I normally play. So.
Did you surprise yourself at all?
No, not really. I'm a very confident person, and obviously I've had a lot of success individually, but then also as a team as well. And kind of just taking that confidence with me into that environment allowed me to kind of just be myself and go out there and play free. So.
I think what's so cool about you, though, is just the journey that you've been on out of high school. Only one D1 offer to SDSU, you took and ran with that. But can you take me through just growing up with a love and passion for basketball and where that started for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it started when I was super young. My parents introduced me to Pistol Pete film when I was like 2 years old, in Valentine's Day. And that's kind of where the love of the game came from, was just watching Pistol Pete and kind of just the joy that he played with and kind of the flair and the passion for just kind of getting the crowd involved. And I really, not necessarily envied that, but that's something that I tried to emulate when I played. And that's kind of where the passion started. And then, as I continued to get older, continued to fall in love with the game, and eventually, wanted to play Division I, and that was my dream to do that and then play professionally. So.
I heard you watched Pistol Pete's movie quite a few times. Is that true?
Yeah, no, I actually just watched it the other night. I have it with me at my apartment, so I watch it frequently, but yeah, I've seen it probably too many times.
You have the DVD?
I have the DVD,
wow.
But then it's also on YouTube, so you don't really need the DVD.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
If anyone wants to go watch, it's on YouTube.
Free plug.
Yeah.
Reading more about your journey and just your family too, I think played a huge role. Your dad put up that 8-foot hoop in your family barn. How much do you credit your parents in providing that and just kind of fueling your passion for basketball?
Yeah, I credit them a lot. Obviously, growing up, my dad was the first person to kind of just put the basketball in my hands. And like you said, we put the first hoop up together when we lived in Creighton, Nebraska on the farm. And then just all the sacrifices that my parents have made financially and just time-wise to put me in positions to, be allowed to chase my dream. I'm forever grateful for them, and they've played just probably the biggest role in me being where I am today. So.
I mean, you're also from small town Nebraska, Aurora, Nebraska, for those not familiar. Town about, 5,000 people? 4,000 people. I don't think anyone's ever gone D1 in basketball out of that town. How special is that to be the first and, tell guys that come up from the small towns, hey, it's possible?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot, obviously. I obviously put in a lot of work to achieve that. But like you said, it's fun to go back and kind of share my story and just, tell guys if to dream big and chase after your dreams, because that's what I did. I mean, growing up, I didn't know if it would ever happen, but I believed it, and I worked hard, and good things happen to those who wait and are patient and persevere and put in the time. So that's kind of just what I like to share with them. So.
I got to bring up some good quotes from your parents. So you're waking up at like 5 a.m. to work out as a 5th grader.
Yeah.
What were your parents saying?
I mean, so my mom, she taught a spin class at 5 a.m.
Okay.
And so basically I was just like, my teacher at the time was a basketball coach. And he was like, do you want to come in and shoot? And I had a couple other older guys that wanted to do it as well. And so, I kind of just hopped on board with it. At first it was like really early, honestly. 5 a.m. was crazy, but it kind of just became a routine. And then it kind of continued all the way through high school. I still did it until I graduated.
Wow. Your mom also said that at parent-teacher conferences, your middle school gym teacher said you were too competitive. What were you doing in gym class?
Well, I just didn't like to lose. And so it didn't matter if we were playing dodgeball or ultimate ball or whatever. If someone was like hindering our ability to like win the game, whether it was like just an innocent girl sitting in the back, like not doing anything in dodgeball, I would start yelling at her. Like I just wanted to win so bad, and I ended up getting like a C in PE just because of that. So it's a true story.
That's amazing. So that competitive fire, we obviously see it on the court. You're blowing kisses. You got the headband that's infamous. Where does that passion come from? Do you credit Pistol Pete for that too?
Yeah, I mean, I would credit that too. I don't really know where I got it from. I just kind of always grew up that way, just wanting to win, whether we were playing, MLB The Show on PlayStation or pick up baseball, basketball, whatever it was, like checkers. I just wanted to win. I don't know really where it came from. I just kind of had it, so.
And then throughout your high school journey, we were talking before, you were 5'9" your freshman year in high school, and then you find your athleticism, find your physicality. What was that process like for you and realizing your dream of, hey, I can go D1?
Yeah, well, it was a struggle at first, like you said, because obviously, I had big aspirations, but I knew that if I wanted to ultimately get there, I would have to grow and get bigger and stronger. And like you said, my freshman and sophomore year, I wasn't necessarily the biggest. And so that was a struggle for me. Luckily, my mom was just like telling me I was going to grow eventually. And eventually I did. So
she was right.
Yeah, credit to my mom. But it was a struggle at first. But then obviously happy that I kind of grew into my body and ended up being what I am. So.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit before, but SDSU being your only offer out of high school, was that disappointing to you at all, or how'd you look at that?
Yeah, at the time I don't think I was necessarily that disappointed. I was just happy to have a opportunity to go somewhere and just kind of fulfill out my dream. I definitely thought that I was better than, and I didn't get as much credit as I thought I should have. In high school, but at the time I was just really thankful, and I still am very thankful that everything kind of worked out how it was supposed to. So,
I mean, not to mention you're also an amazing quarterback. Do people ask you all the time, what if you went the football route? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought I was better at football in high school than basketball. So a lot of people, especially like around small town Nebraska, central Nebraska, like they still tell me to this day, I thought you were a better football player than basketball player at the time. So, I gave it a little bit of thought, kind of, if Nebraska would have looked at me a little bit, but they wanted me to come in and try to transform to a tight end. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I'm stuck with basketball. So.
I would say it worked out pretty well. I mean, you're about to be drafted in the NBA, so.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's always a plan to something, and definitely worked out how it was supposed to. So.
Yeah. Your 3 years at South Dakota State, what did they mean to you in playing at that mid-major level?
Yeah, they meant a lot. I think, the higher you get up in the high major, the more it gets more like a business. And I just really loved those 3 years at South Dakota State and just all the relationships I was able to build with those guys and the coaching staff as well. And they kind of made me who I was. And then I transferred to Creighton and then really fine-tuned myself while I was at Creighton. But I give a lot of credit to the coaching staff there at South Dakota State for really seeing something in me when I was 16 years old, and then kind of, teaching me and helping me become the player I was and the man too. And then obviously, like I said, the relationship part, I still talk to all my teammates from when I was there. So that's a big thing to me too.
Freshman year, when you were coming off the bench, would you have guessed that you'd be in the position you are today?
No. I tell people all the time, I hated my freshman year in college, and I didn't like basketball either. I wasn't enjoying it. And my mindset kind of coming into my sophomore year was I was just going to put the work in, and whatever happens, happens. I'm fully prepared to just play 4 years and move on to the business world. And then stuff just started going right for me, I guess. And now I am where I am now. So
no office job. You'll take NBA over that any day.
Definitely take the NBA over an office job for sure.
Speaking of you transferring over to Creighton, I mean, you also had looks from a lot of schools, Kansas, Duke, a lot of teams talking to you. What made Creighton stand out to you? Obviously in your home state, but what were those other things that made you want to join Greg McDermott?
Yeah, well, it was obviously the home state, but then at the same time, when I was going through the process of being in the NBA and the transfer portal, I was really just looking for a fit that I felt like would help me grow my game and eventually put me in a position to achieve my dreams of playing in the NBA. And I felt like Coach McDermott in Creighton was the perfect spot just from the play style and the coaching style that he has. I felt just fit me to a T. And so that's kind of why I ultimately chose to come back, and obviously being from Nebraska as well.
And I think your plan initially was kind of one and done at Creighton, but you decided to give it 2 years. Why?
Well, going through my first year here, I mean, I had a decent year, but I didn't think I had a great year my first year. And I thought, there was a lot of reasons for that. But obviously, when you transfer and adjust to a new level, a new playing style, like it's difficult. And I felt like there was a lot of things that I could improve on. Coming back another year to kind of put myself, like I said, into position to be drafted. And ultimately, professionally, when you go into the professional world, like it's a business. And so you want to be the most prepared when you step foot there. And I feel like me going in there now, I'm definitely the most prepared I've ever been in terms of basketball. So
definitely some ups and downs at Creighton as a Blue Jay. What are some of your favorite memories though?
Oh, I think obviously the Elite Eight run last year was probably the top. Just dreaming of playing in the NCAA tournament as a kid and then making a deep run like that. That was really fun. And then Maui last year was really fun. That environment was just incredible. Beating UConn this year, that was another great memory. This whole year as a whole, Bahamas trip this past summer. So there's a lot of things. I really enjoyed my whole 2 years here as a whole. And this past year especially was probably one of the most fun years I've had just playing basketball and just life overall. So,
I mean, if you didn't know, you probably would have assumed that you'd been at Creighton all 4 years, just with how the community embraced you and loved you. Do you felt like you got to give back to that community? I always saw you signing autographs, meeting fans.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that, like you said, I was only here 2 years, but I just really felt that love and connection of being a hometown kid, coming back, and kind of just feeling that. And obviously, growing up, I looked up to people playing and knew that if I ever had a chance, I would hope they would stop and share their time with me. And so I kind of keep that same mindset when I'm going throughout the community. If someone asks for a picture or an autograph, I'm always willing to brighten someone else's day. I mean, that's part of being in the position I am in, and I'm always grateful to give back.
How do you want to be remembered as a Creighton Blue Jay?
Just someone that, brought a lot of joy and passion to the court, brought a little bit of flair, and ultimately just enjoyed the game with his coaches and his teammates.
Yeah, I think the fans will remember you, mostly for the blowing kisses, though.
I know.
Are you going to do that in the NBA?
I don't know. We'll see. A lot of my pre-draft interviews, they always ask me about it because, I mean, if you didn't know who I was and you just watched me play, like you would probably think like I'm kind of a dick just by how I play. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see.
But you're nice. You're very nice.
Yeah, I like to think that I'm down to earth and can hold a conversation with anybody. And
I think so.
I think that's just a small town Nebraska.
What else do they ask in these pre-draft interviews?
I mean, there's crazy. I mean, they ask you like, who, if you were a superhero, who would you be? Like stuff that like you're just like, I don't know how this correlates to anything that we're talking about, but like they just throw random stuff at you just to see how you respond, honestly.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Well, what superhero would you be?
And I don't know what I'd be, so I'm not going to answer the question.
Was that the question? You didn't give him an answer to that one?
Shoot, I think I went over like 3 or 4 different things that I want to be, but.
That's amazing. Well, what are you looking forward to most in starting your pro career?
Oh, probably, I mean, just fulfilling the dream, obviously. I mean, I want to get drafted, but I'm aware that once you get drafted, that's kind of when the work starts. And I'm just really looking forward to being in that environment. It's something that I've dreamed about, my whole entire life. And so just excited to get to work, honestly.
In 8th grade, you wrote a letter to yourself saying that you wanted to be a D1 basketball player. I'm sure you would have put NBA star in there too.
Yeah, for sure.
What would your message be to your younger self if you got to write a letter back?
That's a great question. I just think that, I would continue to tell them to just dream big, like anything is possible. Obviously I had those dreams when I was a kid, but you don't know, you don't really know if it's ever going to actually come into fruition. And so that's probably what I tell myself.
Well, Baylor Scheierman, thanks so much for the time. From Aurora, Nebraska to the NBA, congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Baylor.